So, last week, bit of a crazy week. Late Wednesday night on my side of the planet, some photos dropped from Entertainment Weekly of the Wheel of Time cast, like in full costume. They're amazing. We'll get to them. But it resulted in me staying up all night and then, of course, having to work the next day. So I had a couple of days with no sleep. And then the weekend was the WotCastathon, which is 24 hours of Wheel of Time content creators coming together to raise money for charity. And we raised $11,000. You guys are amazing. I'm going to actually link the charity in the description below, as well as the streams. You can watch them. But you can still donate to Save the Children for like the Wheel of Time community. And it's a great charity. Great. It was a great fun. I basically last week was a very, very Wheel of Time heavy week for me. I kind of feel like that, feeling you get after the Yodo con, where you spent like a concentrated amount of time focusing on your nerdery, and then you have to come down and go back to your real life. That's kind of what I feel right now, even though everything was virtual, but whatever. It was a really good time, and I guess, gonna try and extend it by recording this video. I don't know. I'm a bit of an addict. Wheel of Time is awesome. I tried actually on Thursday night to record a reaction video. I haven't really done those to the drop from Entertainment Weekly, and then while editing it, realized that I was way too tired and kind of came across as if I was intoxicated or perhaps somehow mentally altered. Anyway, that video is gone. It is deleted. No one will ever see it. It was very bad. But I thought I would go through the photos here while I am more myself and coherent. So I guess let's just take a look. First photo we have here is the full cast photo, and it is fully glorious. They look amazing. I love the detail on their costumes. I'm not actually going to go into a lot of detail on this because, as I said, I ended up staying up all night the night these photos dropped because I was on the dusty wheel. So if you want to see me reacting to this, you can watch me doing that for 3.5 hours. Sorry. I still can't believe I spent 3.5 hours talking about 4 photos. But they deserve it. They do. And it's hilarious because I ended up calling in later on to the show later on that day because I had more thoughts. Apparently 3.5 hours isn't enough time to talk about 4 photos. Anyway, regardless. Basically, these are gorgeous. I love the detail. One of my favorite things, aside from the fact that Nynaeve exists in this photo, one of my favorite details is the fact that Moraine's cloak is dirty at the bottom, which A, shows that like these are clothes that are worn. She is a woman doing a job and her clothes got dirty. But I love that nobody else seems to have mud on the bottom of their clothes because her cloak is too long. Because she lives in the city and has paved roads, and nobody in the country would have clothes that long. Like, they're just impractical. If you look, like, her cloak and stuff is the longest of anybody's. And I love that detail. It's glorious. And then, of course, we have this gorgeous photo of Shadar Logoth. I love the age in this. It's beautiful. Aldib and Mandar, which is fantastic. The detail in this, it is amazing. It looks real and concrete and also intricate and aged and old, and like there's script on the statue. Again, I talked about this for 3.5 hours. I can't go there. It's beautiful. I love this. You have here Riddhima's favorite photo. I don't mean to say that like I'm angry. I love Riddhima. I really do. I'm jealous because Egwene is her favorite character. Nynaeve is mine, and she got 2 photos of her favorite character, and I only got 1 of mine, and I feel like it's, Wheel of Time hates me or something. I don't know. I'm joking, but whatever. This photo I find kind of funny because there is more sexual chemistry in this photo than there is between Rand and Egwene in the books. Like, I can see that he actually seems to be attracted to her in this photo. And I don't believe he is in the books at all. Like, I'm just, whatever. I also love that she's wearing pants. I love that. It's fantastic. They're probably like stockings or leggings under her dress, but still love it. And then, of course, the final photo is this one. This photo, I think, is amazing. Now, my favorite, of course, is the one that has Nynaeve in it for very, very obvious reasons. But I think that this is probably the best photo. This is the photo that if I was a non-reader and I was flipping through the magazine and I saw this photo, this would be the one that made me go, oh, what is this story about? There's like a lot happening in this photo. It is intriguing. It basically, it draws you in and makes you want to ask questions and makes you want to know the answers to those questions. So I think this is a really good photo. I'm glad this one is included. The other thing that is fascinating is that metadata dropped with these photos. And I personally think that the metadata was intentionally added to kind of troll us, because us hardcore fan freaks, as Matt Hatch likes to call us, although apparently that did actually come from Robert Jordan, but whatever, we are known for digging. We are known for example, spending 3.5 hours talking about 4 pictures. I think that they put the metadata on there, and I have this just whatever crazy thought that somewhere in like the Wheel of Time writer's room, they had a pool on how long it would take us to find the metadata. And it was a couple hours, like, or after the actual, after the actual article linked, I think it was more like a couple of minutes that somebody went into the metadata and found the stuff that was included. So let's go through that actually. So if we look here at the metadata from the full cast photo, first thing that jumps out to me is that this is apparently from the 6th episode. That is when this shot is from. It says here, Moraine arrives at the Waygate, met by Loyal and all the others. Who is the dragon? And this is in line with my theory that they're going to make it way more mysterious as to which one of the boys is actually the one in the TV show, which I think is a good call. For anybody who hasn't read the books, that could be like a hook to, to grab them. I think that's great. The fact that this is 6 episodes in makes me kind of happy. Also, it makes sense, like with their clothes looking worn and, a little bit dirty, especially our little Matt there looking all haggard. But I think that's great. Then, of course, we have this metadata from the Rand Egwene photo. This apparently is the 1st episode, which, okay, so this would probably be somewhere in the Two Rivers. Maybe this is actually establishing their relationship, which they don't really do in the books, which is, I don't know. In the books, they just sort of are a couple, and then they aren't a couple, and I never actually believe that they're a couple. But whatever, okay. So this is the 1st episode, Mountain Ridge. Egwene joins Rand. He knows what she's going to do, and then just a very long ellipses. All right. But yeah, one of the things that everyone pointed out in this, it's fascinating, is he is looking at her with, longing or something, and she's looking away. Because Egwene always wanted more. She always wanted more. And I think it's perfect. It's a perfect shot. All right, so this is the metadata for Shadar Logoth. It says here, episode 2, makes sense, pretty early on. Exterior Shadar Logoth ruins, Temple Lan, with Moraine, exits temple and races down the street on his warhorse. The tags on this one, I don't know why, the tags make me really happy. The tag says, Shadar Logoth ruins, set, city, destroyed, gloomy, horse, carry her, Moraine dummy, I don't know, Lan, Blue Cloak, Aldib, Mandarb, and then Dory. Okay, I guess it would make sense that it's a dummy if he's running down the stairs, although I have a feeling this is a staged shot. But whatever, okay. For some reason, it makes me really happy that Aldib and Mandarb made it to the tags. I don't know why. I love it. I love that the horses are in the tags. All right, and then finally, the tags or the metadata here for the Logain photo. This is happening in episode 3. It says, exterior Caroline Plains, Egwene and Perrin see wagon tracks heading east. Friend or foe? Now, a lot of people think that this metadata, these description here doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense with this image, which most of me agrees with this, because that description sounds like they are meeting up with the Tinkers, right? It's like the wagon tracks would be the Tinkers, but this is also a wagon. You could call this thing that Logain is in a wagon. And I'm going to full-on tinfoil hat it here. What if they see Logain before he gets to Caemlyn? Like they spy him walking down, or being driven down the street here. What if that is what this is? They just happen to see him as he passes, and this is part of building up the mythos of Logain, because we know that Logain is going to get more of a story in the show than he does in the books. And this could be part of it. There's also the fact that we aren't, I think it's pretty much confirmed that we are not going to meet a lot of the Caemlyn crew, like Elaine and Morghese and Elida, in season 1. Maybe we don't go to Caemlyn, so maybe this is how we hear and learn about what happened with Logain, is, they see Logain as he passes, and then we follow that story for a little while, and hear and learn about what happened with Logain that way, instead of seeing what happened with Rand and falling in the, all the stuff that happened in Caemlyn. Tinfoil hat, putting it out there because then if I'm right, I sound like a genius. So if I'm wrong, it was another person with a crazy theory on the internet, and the internet's full of that. So why not? Okay, so there's one more thing about Nynaeve that I want to talk about from the first full cast photo. Y'all knew I was going to focus on her a bit more, right? Like, it was weird that I just skimmed right past her, wasn't it? But okay, I will say this is something that didn't come up in the 3.5 hours that I talked about these photos when I was on the Dusty Wheel with Matt Hatch and Riddhima. Now, I will say, probably the reason it didn't come up is because for the vast majority of time that I was on that show, we were not working with the high-res photos. The high-res photos didn't drop until almost the end of that episode. And I couldn't look at them because of my setup with the avatar. It was hard for me to switch back and forth, and I already had the other photos up, so I didn't look at the high-res photos until much, much later. And I didn't focus on this detail until I saw this tweet. And I'm just going to put the tweet up on the air. It says, "Please recognize the significance in this. Nynaeve's, Zoe's braid is not just a braid. Her hair is in braids and then make the braid. They didn't relax, straighten her hair, or put her in a wig. This will mean something to so many people." Now, I'm just going to say I do actually probably think it's a wig because wigs are just easier to manage for the air. But the fact is, even if it is a wig, it is a representation of natural hair for Black women. And this person who is tweeting, I'm going to Cassie of Tarth. I'm assuming that this is a woman, so I'm going to use female pronouns here. She's right. This means a lot. How do I talk about this? I am, I'm Black. I'm an avatar, but I very much talked about the fact that I am a Black woman. I am a light-skinned Black woman. The thing about me that has made me the most different living in a white world has been my hair. That has been the thing for most of my life. It was the thing that I would get teased about. It was the thing that people would call out or they would point out what was weird about me. It's just been the major thing. I spent a large portion of my life. In fact, I think I kind of permanently probably damaged my hair trying to mimic white hairstyles. And one of the trends that I've been very, very happy to see in very recent television is Black women not being forced to straighten their hair for television. A lot of Black women that I'm seeing are using their natural hair or natural hairstyles or protective styles like braids or dreads. And yeah, this means a lot. They have put a Black woman in a fantasy show and she has a Black hairstyle. A hairstyle that Black women would actually wear, and I love it. I love that they have, maintained the fact that the braiding is part of Two Rivers tradition, but they have incorporated the fact that Zoe Robbins is a Black woman. And she, especially in the Wheel of Time, I doubt she would have access to relaxer, but even if she did, it doesn't have to be a part of this culture where white beauty standards were the norm, and so all Black women out forever were straightening their hair. I love that. It means a lot. And seeing Sarah Nakamura's reply to this, yes, the braid and its significance is a big part of the conversation. Come back to me after the show's premiere and let's talk braids again. I am so excited to see this. Another thing that came out of talking about these photos when they came out, someone in my Discord, I think it was Saint Amira, so another Nynaeve stand, in my Discord, told me that she had showed the photos to a friend of hers who had not read the books. And her friend's first comment upon seeing the full cast was like, "Is this a fantasy show? There are people of color in a fantasy show? I'm going to watch that." You don't know what it's like to constantly think, I just don't belong. Lord of the Rings, no place for me there. Oh, Game of Thrones, okay, so I guess I could be a slave if I was going to be in there or something. This genre has largely, especially the mainstream Western fantasy that we have seen, has mostly and largely excluded people that look like me. And so to see a cast that is diverse, and to see that not only is this cast diverse, they have put thought into the representation of the diversity in things like this, her braid is in a style that represents what Black people would actually do with their hair in this culture. Y'all, I'm tearing up just thinking about it means a lot. You don't know. You cannot know what it feels like to constantly be ashamed of something about yourself that you can't change, you had nothing to do with, and you shouldn't be ashamed of in the first place. There's nothing wrong with my hair. And I shouldn't have spent so much of my life trying to fix this thing that was broken. But everything and everyone that I knew, everything that I watched, every bit of media that I took in told me that there was something wrong with it. And so I spent so much time trying to fix it, and I've ruined my hair largely because of that. And I love that that's changing, and I love that Wheel of Time is part of that. I'm going to take a break so I can stop crying and come back and film more. Okay, so I had a drink of water, calm myself down. I'm back. I actually thought I wouldn't have enough to talk about here to make a full video, but I think this is good. So I'm going to end this video here. I'm going to actually link, though, to the Dusty Wheel episode that I was on the weekend, the 3.5-hour episode talking about 4 photos. Plus, I'll also link the part 2 that happened later on that day. So there's actually 6+ hours of content on these 4 photos that I will link to in the description below. My God. We are such a nerdy group, and I love us all to death. Oh my God. Anyway. Oh, of course. And I will link to the Entertainment Weekly article where you can read the full article that went along with these photos and see the high-res images for yourself. Well worth it. Please enjoy. And if you want to talk about them more, please come join my Discord. We always have a blast over there. Come join the fun. And if you like my content, want to support my channel, you can always check out my Patreon. I keep saying this every single time. Y'all don't know. Like, the patrons, you guys... I literally just had You Lift Me Up by Josh Groban start playing in the back of my head. But it's appropriate. That's what I feel. Y'all are awesome. I love you all to death. And with that, I will end this video here. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!